Bone deep listening is not so much about what to hear as it is about how to hear. Going bone deep involves listening so far into history that not only might the middle passage come into mind, but the listener may also activate an ensemble of senses. Don't just enter the music, but descend into its depths. A bone deep listening, a sensing of the unbridgeable chasm, seen said, seen cry, unheard but for that bone deep listening. Improvisational vision of invisible performance, that descent into the music, descent into organization, the ensemble of the senses, the producers of sound. The music becomes readily available to misinterpretation, indignant and terrible speech, sterner, darker, deeper. They would make the dense old woods for miles around reverberate with their wild songs, revealing at once the highest joy and the deepest sadness. They would compose and sing as they went along, consulting neither time nor tune. The thought that came up came out, if not in the word, in the sound, and as frequently in the one as in the other. They would sometimes sing the most pathetic sentiment in the most rapturous tone, and the most rapturous sentiment in the most pathetic tone. They would sing as a chorus to words which to many would seem unmeaning jargon, but which nevertheless were full of meaning to themselves. Tones loud, long, and deep, her laden voice a heavy sound, an exhausted and skeptical call for celebration. I literally have at times seen the sound that comes from her body. I see the sound, I'd not only hear it, but see it. Can you see it? Can you feel it? Did you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? No home after a people, a people's art, a people's a people's freedom, a people's forum. What is out of doors, outside, the gate, gap, hole, breach, break, black, to blaze, glow, burn, scorch, black, to be shriveled, black mass, masses, sinuous wrinkle, a bend, band, bind, black masses, mass, black, shine, give, light, appear. Black mass teeters on the brink of being observable or not observable through ontological instability. It is the violence of enslavement set adrift and through and in the drift. Rift. Raft. Feeling for and with each other. Cargo still. Black mass, in its suggestion of a collective as in the masses, belies the fungibility or exchangeability of the black that denies individuality. Black mass as in the racialized masses consenting not to be a single being. Mass as in the heavy weight, the heavy machinery of blackness, rooting the black as and in materiality. Mass as in the black substance that resists definition and containerization. Black mass that must always be contained. Black mass as flesh, priced and subjected to objection, objecting even to subjection. Black mass that shape shifts ever constant, the critical mass that will surely explode, want to explode, that marks simultaneously both the performance and the object, and the performance of humanity, black mass upon which the world is made comprehensible, the massive black elephant in the room, the psychic mass, the spiritual mass, the opiate, the criminal, and always already a slave. Utopian idea. It is in our interest to undo this one, to concave the cultivation of another one. The creation of negative space necessitates the beginning of being in and of the space newly created. Utopia is thus the unfurled expression of a future memory or a past unknown or the before of before we. What to do or have about you besides you is you better not forget the maps, the letters drunk with ancestors, a clarity of instructions, drunken sun, water, remembrance, fragments of an autumn utopia top a scarcity of doubts. The weighted non-presence of delay, the salinity of grief, you, instead of the them, that, there, over there principle of punishment, the calculated rota of tactics, cantankerous, weaponized, undersold shoulder, episodic swamp, swarm, swam, same aim, episodic. A future without name, mere location, relocation. Let's call it something other than nothing new at all. Let's excite the delirium of our undoing before their dysentery, gout, and shame, or how to get there. It's after the end of the world. Don't you know that yet?
It's after the end of the world.
It's after the end of the world.
Don't you know that yet?
Don't you know that yet?
It's after the end of the world.
It's after the end of the world. Don't you know that yet?
It's after the end of the world.
Don't you know that yet?
Don't you know that yet?
It's after the end of the world.
Don't you know that yet?
Don't you know that yet? It's after the end of the world.
It's after the end of the world.
Don't you know that yet?
Don't you know that yet?
Womb, belly, bowels, heart, uterus, abyss, internal pit, without depth, bottomless, depth, deep, long, length, a deep place, deep water, the sea, from within outward, denigrate, blacken, make dark, black away, completely blackened, absorption, light and water, to fluctuate, wave, mother, city, state, master, more, mickle, much, metropole, to plant, a colony, seedling sprout, cutting, fix in place, plantation, settlement, settler, farmer, till, cultivate, worship. The child follows the belly, transfer her dispossession, obscures as much as it reveals, difficult to distinguish, dispossession and accumulation, a minor figure by flight and refusal. Redress her wrongs. Anything other than monstrous fled the plantation, the anomalous intimacy of cargo, flesh and body deployed to describe the condition of the mother. We carry the mother's mark depending on the angle of vision, the harnessing of the body, the primacy of gender, distinguished the public, tethered to the making. Reproduction does not ensure any future. Dispossession nor guarantee. Kinship loses meaning. Definitional sites. Human property, predicated upon the belly, vectors that mark the flesh, prime commodity, satisfaction, innumerable uses propagated like any other crop, their labors for farms and plantations. Human commodities, an institutional process, a regime, place, black, gratuitous, conscripted the womb, the birth canal, the belly is made a factory. The slave ship and the plantation, the enslaved and the carceral. The remedy proposed, wounded kinship converged on the figure, the plantation to the city, the third matrix of, anticipating the prison, another rupture in the social, the continuities between slavery and freedom, the heterogeneity or discontinuity or instability of the category, the arduous toil, safer in the streets, the effective and communicative labor, sustenance, cook, clean, and comfort. Go out into the world, submit, you cannot choose what you cannot refuse, revered and reviled, insurgency, resistance, and refusal. What visions of the future run or propel her flight? A subject still awaiting her verb. Do not yield easily to the grand narrative of revolution, a placeholder for freedom. Required to give for your survival. Touched by the mother. All we have is what she holds in her outstretched hands. Freedom struggle remains, this brilliant and formidable labor. These labors cannot be assimilated to the template. Nourish the latent text of the fugitive, coerced and freely given, the black heart of our social poesis, world-making, world-breaking, black, 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 blank, lack, black, blank, blank, lack, black, 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 family, family, family. We prevail. We prevail. We prevail. We prevail. We prevail. We prevail. I would wish us to indicate the determining relationship between architectonic reality and physical well-being. I hope that we may implicitly instruct the reader in the comprehensive impact of everywhere, of any place. This requires development of an idea or theory or place in terms of human being, of space designed as the volumetric expression of successful existence between earth and sky, of space cherishing as it amplifies the experience of being alive, the capability of endless beginnings, and the entrusted liberty of motion, of particular space inexorably connected to multiple spatialities, a particular space that is open, receptive, and communicant, yet sheltering particular life. The Black woman's experience of work in Britain mirrors our experience of work over the past 5 centuries. This has been one long tradition of backbreaking labor in the service of European capitalism. Because it was as slaves that black women's full labor potential was first established, and as slaves that our response to exploitation was first tested out, it is here we begin. It was because of our ability to work that black women were first taken as slaves from Africa to the Caribbean, and it was that same labor power which brought us from the Caribbean to Britain 400 years later. Violence escalates as the present approaches the past. Our history haunts us because it has been improperly buried. Drift. Drift, rift. Drift, rift, raft. Drift, rift, raft, riffraff. Drift, rift, raft, riffraff, overboard. Drift, rift, raft, riffraff, overboard, shipped, tree cut out or hollowed out to cut, split, mothership, that which has given birth to anything, mother wit, common sense, to contain, to grasp, to retain, to observe, fulfill, to possess, control, rule, to detain, lock up, to foster, cherish, to keep, tend, watch over, to have and to hold, moist, soft, earth, husk, pod, shell, filth, dregs, something driven, a delay, a pause, hold, support, custody, guarding, watching, keeping, laying hold of, a taking, course, current, enclosure, price, value, worth, reward, a taking, hold, a grasp, close in on, compel or urge to move, impel in some direction or manner, to imprison, hence to confine, 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 hem in, to hunt, pursue, to rush against, energy, labor actively, pushing from behind, the luckless combination of soft wit and sharp tongue, infelicitous preoccupation, a damned geography of planetary proportions. Within the carceral imagination, abolition equals loss, yet it is carcerality itself that necessitates it. These hapless coordinates, this gutting, emptied out abolition geography starts from the homely premise that freedom is a place. 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 Police. place, please, please, place, police, place, police, place, please, please, place, police, place, please, police, polity, 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 city, 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 citizen, public, person, criminal, private, person, human, non-human, dead, alive, culpable, capable. A carceral state is one that seeks to know everything about its inhabitants and visitors, but hides everything about itself. It demands transparency of everything except its own operations. A very, very special. One of the things that black people do when they're upset is they do something called a slap down, key, silence in the streets. I had bad dreams, sirens, hot, hot, hot,
Silence
echo, the echo of your voice on my own, lots and lots of noise, a joyful noise, heaving, a unique sound, and if you're feeling cheeky, worker, vibrant, children, playing, judo sounds, noise, people. Sound was the first investment, almost like a ghost or haunting parties, and I feel like that's a genre in itself. Can you feel it? Evidence the moment. Is your stomach rumbling?
But you evidence that moment.
A sonic external force. What's extracted? What's extracted from? What's extracted from the? What's extracted from the extracted? What's extracted from the extracted is. What's extracted from the extracted is the. What's extracted from the extracted is the resource. What's extracted from the extracted is the resource of. What's extracted from the extracted is the resource of life. What's extracted from the extracted is the resource of life. Time. What's extracted from the extracted is the resource of life. Time. Extracted from the extracted is the resource of life. Time. From the extracted is the resource of life. Time. The extracted is the resource of life. Time. Extracted is the resource of life. Time is the resource of life. Time is the resource of life. Time, resource of life. Time of lifetime, lifetime, time, lifetime of lifetime, resource of lifetime. The resource of lifetime is the resource of life. Time, extracted is the resource of life. Time, the extracted is the resource of life. Time, from the extracted is the resource of life. Time, extracted from the extracted is the resource of life. Time, what's extracted from the extracted is the resource of life. Time, what's extracted from the extracted is the resource of life. Time, what's extracted from the extracted is the resource of life. What's extracted from the extracted is the resource of. What's extracted from the extracted is the resource. What's extracted from the extracted is the. What's extracted from the extracted is the. What's extracted from the extracted. What's extracted from the. What's extracted from. What's extracted. What's. What's extracted from the extracted is the resource of life. Time. The performance of blackness, ephemeral victories, the pained and ravished bodies, severed afflictions, natal alienation, negotiating the disciplinary harnessing of the body. Transient battles won under the cover of fun and frolic, redressing the pain body, insufficient, desperately the sheer denial of black sentience, the sheer enormity of this pain. We didn't appear out of thin air. We live here. We didn't appear out of thin air. We live here. The performance of blackness, ephemeral victories, the pained and ravished body, severed afflictions, natal alienation, negotiating the disciplinary harnessing of the body. The transient battles won under the cover of fun and frolic, redressing the pain body, insufficient, desperately the sheer denial of black sentience, the sheer enormity of this pain. We didn't appear out of thin air. We live here! Whisper, listen. Whisper, listen. Whispers say, we're free. Rumors flying. Must be lying. Can it really be? Can't conceive it. Can't believe it, but that's what they say. Slave no longer. Slave no longer. This is Freedom Day. Freedom Day. It's Freedom Day. Throw those shackle and chains away. Everybody that I see says it's really true. We're free. Freedom Day. It's Freedom Day. Free to vote and earn my pay, dim my path and hide the way. But we've made it. Freedom Day.